Thomas or Jeff Hurst, the Trevor Brooking and Billy Bonds, a Paolo Di Canio, West Ham United. We celebrate our victories, we stick together in defeat. I'm proud of our history, West Ham United, more than just a podcast, more than just a podcast.
Hello, good evening, yes, and welcome. It's more than just a podcast. It's series 39, we think, episode 12. So, no, I've done that wrong. Sorry. I reckon we'll still be here in series 39, and we still ain't won the league, and we're still having trouble. It's actually, series 12, episode 39, people. By my dulcet tone speaking first, it means there's no Mr. Whetstone tonight. Stop cheering at the back, people. We don't know what he's doing.
I do. He's picking up his Tesla.
Oh, is he? Yeah. Oh, see, you asked. See, he put it in the group.
No, he told me fucking last week.
See, there you go. See, he put there he couldn't make it, and nobody asked him why, which is, yeah, all right. So anyway, but we are joined tonight by Mr. Canning Tanlin.
Hello.
You all right? Where are you? What you doing and all that?
I'm in the lounge. Still recovering a little bit, but I'm all right. I'm in good spirits.
Yeah, that's good.
Considering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw your little
Looking
nice,
forward to having a nice chat with you.
your little nice talk sport clip earlier on Twitter.
Thank you. I thought I'd do a little.
It's like,
Actually, I've been meaning to do an animation since January, but for the first 2 months, I didn't have much of a voice to do it.
Yeah.
So.
That was good. That was
Thank you.
I watched it. I've missed.
Yeah.
You know when you think I've missed that Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
Not the real one.
No.
But I did listen to what the real one said. But also, obviously, it's Mr. JB Johnny Bucci.
evening.
You all right? Where are you?
all
What
good.
are you doing? I suppose.
I'm at home doing a podcast reviews.
Yeah. There you go. That's the nice sentence done with. So, fresh from our weekend's endeavours, we've had a quick chat off here. We have all seen parts of the game, and one of us was there. We'll come to that later. What did you? So I'll tell you what. We'll start with John. John, you can do the first half. I won't be cruel and give you the second half.
All right, thank you.
you can have the first half. So, John, what did you think?
Yeah. It was horrible, wasn't it? All of it. It was bad. It was just, they just didn't seem like they wanted to play. They just didn't get started. It's just unbelievable how a team like Brighton can just dominate so much possession and control of the game, and it was just uninspiring, horrible to watch, and as a consequence I didn't watch much more after the first half. So that's where we were.
I'm surprised.
I did see you though, Nigel, so yeah. That was the most entertainment really I had in the first half.
He couldn't miss me.
Spotting you on the front there.
Yeah, all right, we'll cover that. I mean, did you think the team? What faults just before kick-off, when you see the team, what you're thinking to what you witnessed?
Well, yeah, I didn't think it was a bad selection. I mean, I was expecting. He continues to pick Souček, but Souček seems to be playing slightly different, and his form isn't as bad as it had been. I thought we'd be more attacking, more adventurous, but we weren't, were we?
No. I'm surprised you didn't hang around for the second half, because when we went in, I thought that was a result just being 1-0 down, actually.
Well, what happened was I had it on, and then my nephew and his girlfriend called over, and I sat with them for a minute and said, right, I'm going to, and as I walked in, we were 2-0 down, and I thought, you know what? I just got something better to do than watch this, you know.
And you hate your nephew as well. Who's better than watching that?
Yeah, I know. If you're listening, Lou, I don't hate you.
No, I'm only joking.
But yeah, it's just, it was so. Yeah, I just couldn't. I just literally thought to myself, you know what? I've just got something better to do.
What'd you make of the penalty?
I think the penalty was that he bought the penalty.
Yep.
But it all came about with like Johnson's bad defending and Bowen basically giving him a reason to buy the penalty because he didn't need to. He didn't need to do what he did, and Johnson just had I don't know what was going on with him. He was so bad. He was so bad. Paquetá was so bad. Everyone was pretty bad, but you know the defending for their goal from the corner was terrible. And you're like, yeah, it's just
pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know what I mean. Johnson, what was going on with him? All of a sudden, he looked like he's overweight. He looked slow. He looked, you know.
I mean, the way I saw it was I don't know if he was told to man mark Mitoma, and then
Do you know which one what player that was?
Well, to be fair, there ain't many on the pitch that look like him, is there?
No,
there was a few in the crowd,
him,
but there was none on the pitch that looked like him. And there was a couple of early things beforehand where a ball went past him and he was too busy watching the player.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, he was running.
Yeah.
He sort of didn't know which way the ball was, did he?
And I think that's what then led to the goal, that first one, and then sort of ball dropped over his head, wasn't it? And he just totally missed the flight of the ball. And I mean, that was right in front of us. Right in front of us. And I don't know. I'm glad you said he bought the penalty because that's exactly what I thought. I thought he dived and I thought VAR was going to cancel it. But there you go. It was in the blink of an eye and you don't get a second look when you're in the ground. Jay, what do you want to add about the first half?
What do I want to add about the first half? What I would add is I would put the entire first half on the players, actually. Some terrible ball control. Just sloppy as can be. Every single one of them. And I wasn't too disappointed with how Moyes set them up. They weren't tired. I don't know what Moyes is talking about. It didn't look like there was any tiredness to me. But yeah, the first half, I thought we were lucky to be going 1-0 down. We had a chance, didn't we? That was taken badly by Bowen.
Yeah.
Good chance, that. That was the only chance. Really, really bad first half.
I mean, stats-wise, I'm a bit confused because I look at the stat. I mean, I know this is for the whole game, but apparently we had 2 shots on target, none off, and 1 blocked. And for the life of me, I can only think of Bowen's effort.
There was 2 shots in 1 there.
So,
I think.
But then it also gives, which I do love, goalkeeper saves for Brighton 5. Which obviously...
How's that managed?
Yeah, I don't know how they've come to that.
Oh.
I mean, possession-wise, it's been worse. You know, we have had worse, but 68% of Brighton, 32. Did you hear Moyes' comments after the game about the way he thought we should set up because we knew Brighton would have a lot of possession?
No.
Yes, I did. No. I heard what he said, yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Is that something you would ever expect you'd hear from a West Ham manager?
I mean...
What did he say? Can you paraphrase it?
To paraphrase, what he basically said was, coming here we knew we weren't going to see a lot of the ball, so we were going to try and set up to play without a lot of the ball. So, in a way, it was almost like we'd set up to surrender possession because we know that's the way they play. So we were going to let them play that way.
And not press them as much.
Yes.
I mean, it was what I was going to get to, what I was going to say was, it was, the first half was all on the players, and then Moyes joined in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
And what it is about playing Brighton, and I wasn't on the podcast last week to make my prediction, which would have been a last week, that wouldn't surprise you. The interesting thing about Brighton now is that we know we can't compete with them. And now they're even saying it, because Declan said, and I quote, they play in a unique way that we couldn't cope with. And then Moyes come out tactically saying, we're not going to have a lot of ball. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Sullivan, well, if I'm a football chairman and not Sullivan, and I gave you £200 million to spend and have a 60,000 seat arena, I don't want to hear that. That's sackable on its own. I don't want to hear that at all. That you can't. That your captain says we don't know how to. They play a unique way. We don't know how to play against. Well, what unique way? A unique way that they've got rid of their manager and every star player they've had, and they've still managed to outclass us every time.
And brought another new manager in to continue it.
Yeah, but you could. I mean, Ben White went. Is it Kakarula? Whatever his name is, he went.
Kakarula.
All these stars' names have gone, and they can still set up to play far superior football to us, even though we're playing Brazil's players and Italy's number 9, this, that, and the other. I think this match, it transcends West Ham v Brighton, and it becomes West Ham versus Premier League football, because Moyes will openly admit he can't compete with the top 6. Now you've got to add Newcastle to that at 7, and Brighton have proved it's 8, and he's come out and said it. So you've got 8 teams better than you, he's coming out saying, and he still wants to harp on about the last 2 years, which is actually was an 18-month stretch.
Yeah.
18-month period. And what does second half become? Become more than a bad performance. It become a demonstration that we can't compete. A demonstration of failure, really. Top to bottom. In a half of football where the directors and the managers don't even play the game. The chess set that they've put out, well, I say the chess set they put out, they're playing a different game to someone who's playing the chess opponent. They're playing drafts. It's a complete demonstration of failure from everyone concerned. I mean, they shouldn't beat us in any statistic, but they beat us in every single one.
Yeah.
And continue to do so when it was like their 12th appearance against them or whatever since they came back to the Premier League.
Yeah. That's not a coincidence.
We've never beaten them.
That's not. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about law of averages. It's going to come our way, and we might actually win. Logical thing to say, but the reality is they beat us every time because every time a players are better than us, and they've got a plan that's got
at every level. At every level.
I mean, this is not a defence of what's going on, but one thing I did look at is I've been Brighton a few times. I'm old enough to have been to the Goldstone ground, and we've never won.
Now I have been a bit of bogey team.
Now, what I didn't realise is, so if I looked at in my lifetime, which we only started playing them in 1978 in my lifetime, because we were Division 1, they were like Division 3. So, and then they got promoted into Division 2, we got relegated, and then they went up. Well, they beat us that year. And we've only beat them twice, I think, in 20 visits. There's 20 away games. We've only beat them twice since 1978. So I'm not making excuses like, well, it seems to be one of them teams. You know, if there's a football fan that's a blogger and he's going to write his first book, he may call it An Irrational Hatred of Brighton now.
Yeah.
Because they've got our number, and they have done for years and years. It's a strange thing. But before the game, I went down with a friend Paul Turner, and it did get me to thinking that how has it come to it that a club like West Ham has, and this is before the game, has been superseded by a club like Brighton?
Yeah.
I don't feel that Fulham or Brentford have superseded us, but I do think Brighton
Definitely have
and,
Brighton.
and in a way,
I think that Brentford might be next.
Yeah, I was going to say Brentford aren't far away.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why I look at Brighton, because they've progressed every time they've changed the manager. Which where I've always thought, well, this is when they go. Yeah, so they came up with Chris Hughton, and Chris Hughton did really well for them. But he had to go at some point, and then they brought Potter in, and we all think, who's this Chancellor? Potter, Harry Potter, lives under the cupboard. And it turns out he keeps them up, and then he progresses them. And he continues the good work Chris Hughton had done, but takes it on even better. And then, you know, we all wait for the house to fall when Potter leaves. And then they find this De Zerbi, who was doing nothing in Ukraine. It had failures in Italy, and it had success in Italy, but it had success with a team like Brighton, in a way, a lesser team. Sassuolo, not a big team, you know, small provincial town, and had done well with them. And when we say well, it got them into the top half of Serie A. So, but then it was weird, because today I listened to Jermaine Defoe's doing a podcast series on BBC, and he goes and talks to the Brighton chief executive, who he knows from his time at Tottenham. And Paul Barber, who's the chief executive, lays out that all this is managed properly. So De Zerbi was the first choice. When they knew Potter was going to go, they knew of De Zerbi, and he was lined up. They interviewed him. De Zerbi comes in and said, well, this player plays this way, this player plays that way. So, and they were like smitten with him, because he was their first choice, and he'd done his own work on Brighton. It was, you know, the hand fitted with the glove.
Yeah, but that's what you would expect, isn't it?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
When you listen to what he says is they only hire managers that fit their mantra. And their mantra is as well, we don't complain about refereeing decisions. We accept defeat in the manner that it's achieved. And we're good, gracious and polite people with it. And what they don't do is when they did get beat, they never blame the fans. They never blamed everything else. They only looked inward.
Learn, eh?
But ours, and the ownership. If you think to when we took over, or when Sullivan's and that took over, Brighton, it only bought Brighton, I think, a couple of years before that. You know, they didn't have a stadium to play in. They were renting an athletic stadium.
Yeah, the WIV team, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know, they'd been bumming about. They'd been at Gillingham for a while. You know, this was a club on its knees, and he's come in.
But the way they've done it as well, it's like, you know, they lost Trossard, didn't they, to Arsenal?
Yes.
You know, that was how their main strikers. They got Mopé, they lost Basuma, they lost Cucurella. You know, all these players, they just continuously have a player sat behind them to come in. And it's all just done properly. And it's like that thing that I put out there yesterday, which said about West Ham. Someone had reported the problem with West Ham, they don't have a proper analytics team, a proper scouting team. They don't have a proper...
That was interesting, actually, what that was.
And you're like, that's so true. We're not... And this is where my argument had been since the World Cup, where I said, why can't we have a good quality, decent manager when everyone else is getting Lopetegui and, you know, all these other managers coming into the Premier League? And I think it was Nigel, your response was, yeah, but who's going to work for Sullivan.
Yeah.
And
great.
that's the truth of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can I just read out, because that was good. So this was it a tweet from Training Ground Guru, and he says, just to give some context on West Ham, they don't have a data science department. Their sporting director is in his first job after playing. Their scouting and recruitment department isn't very comprehensive, so sacking the manager won't necessarily be the magic bullet.
Well, I mean, it's damning, but I'm not sure I agree with the last sentence, because if we get some... Well, I suppose I can agree with it, but...
In the
as he lost the dressing room.
Yeah, in the immediacy, it kind of needs something.
Yeah, it's the only change you can make. Can't build what he said before the end of the season. Can't do anything about any of that, what he said. But we can change the manager.
The one thing as well that I've with West Ham is how we've sort of, I don't know, stumbled into it is when you see the comments from Sullivan bemoaning not just what it'll cost to get rid of the manager, but who you're going to appoint.
That was extremely damning. That comment.
That is damning, because if you listen to the Brighton chief executive, they already knew who they wanted to appoint when Potter was leaving. So that says to me, you've done your due diligence. And one thing I've said constantly is that every club should know who they want to manage the team next.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because around the corner is a run of 7, 8, 9 defeats where you might need to go out and get that manager. So you should have a list and an understanding. And it's pretty obvious we don't, isn't it? And in a way, that's how we got Moyes, though. Funny enough. We got Moyes because there was no list and he was available.
It's terrible. But, you know, that comment, which is it, Sean tweeted that out, and it's obviously clearly quoting from the senior source.
Yeah.
And you read that comment, and twice in that one sentence or that one paragraph, he talks about money, doesn't he? It's costly and cost effective or something. Twice he talks about money in the process of replacing the manager, and then asks for who would you replace him with. You know, and it's beyond belief, isn't it, at that level? Because, you know, finance shouldn't even be the thought of it, should it? Because the alternative is we get relegated, and then it devalues everything across the board.
So this, for those that may not have seen it or anything, this is what Dave Sullivan has said to a certain person. Sullivan has said, he's under pressure, but we're still behind him, which I expect him to say, actually.
Yeah.
There are few alternatives and very expensive. Villa has become a huge game. I read between the lines there. I don't know about you. If he don't win, he's gone. But that's my reading. He then said, which was an excuse, the team were running on empty after United. So who would you bring in? All the huge gambles and very costly to change.
Twice money.
It's
just like...
Yeah, I mean, and excuses of his own and timing as well, John, that he didn't foresee. Well, what do you want me to do? Who would you bring in? It's not. Firstly, it's not our decision. Secondly, you should already know. Thirdly, the timings. I mean, a lot of people were saying before World Cup, but obviously I gave him up to that point to make the transition that he didn't do. But certainly after the Brentford game, for me, that was when he should have gone. There was much more availability there. I mean, again, it's another illustration of failure, because he's saying, I don't know what to do, is basically what he's saying. And I made the comment that when it comes down to price, I think his captain's lost £20 million in a week of his value.
Yeah, absolutely. He's getting more and more
he's getting grief.
Yeah,
I mean, people are pointing fingers saying how much. Well, firstly, it's nothing to do with him, how much people are prepared to pay. Secondly, he's playing a team of wankers. So what, how much is he going to be worth?
And he's not pulling a team forward, or
No,
he's not.
He's
acting
poor
like a
leadership
captain,
skills,
and he's not showing anything worth that sort of money.
No, that's right.
What did you make of the after the game interviews? So
I thought a lot was made of it. And I not at one point did I think he was digging at the fans. But
I don't think he was digging at the fans.
But he's petulant to say something like that, and the only way that you can avoid these misunderstandings is to not say it at all. Because if you're going to come out and say anything like, "What do you know? You never played the game," really, that's everyone who doesn't play football.
Yeah.
So anyone's entitled to sort of not necessarily take offence at it.
It's open to interpretation.
It's totally open to interpretation. You don't say that. He's petulant, and it contradicted his actual answer because he said, "Is the speculation around your manager? Is it making it hard for you?" I went, no, it's just noise. You go out there and you do it, blah blah. And then he made the petulant comment. But the moment you look rattled and you make the petulant comment, the answer isn't no. The answer's yes.
Yeah.
You've answered it yourself. It's not the first time he's come out and said something. He hasn't got the maturity to be the captain. But then again, Ogbonna has, but he was out injured for a long time. Who has? It's not a team. It's a pirate ship of footballers. It really is. And he's trying to steady the wheel.
Yeah.
In one way, I feel sorry for the kid because I don't, it. But things have got to him. Actually, you can see things have got to him.
Yeah, it's the situation is sort of not dire. It's getting a bit desperate. I mean, I listened to what he said. The thing is, I think there are people that know how to play Twitter, and there are people that will clip something, and they will spin it a certain way.
Yeah,
and
it will get the ear.
And yeah, exactly right. And I think a lot of it is made for that. And to be fair to Sean, he did put the full clip out, which when you listen to it, explains.
I saw the full clip first, actually on YouTube.
Yeah,
I saw it. I didn't know there was, because I made the comment about the captain of the board and everyone concerned. But I didn't know about this thing. I didn't know that people were saying that Rice had slagged the players off, and he didn't, because what I'd seen, I thought it was even a little bit over apologetic towards the fans, to be quite honest.
Well, what I will say is, to the majority of the players did come quite close to the fans.
Yeah.
And were not just clapping and applauding; they were holding their hands up in apology.
Yeah.
So, which I thought was good, because no matter how bad it is, not all fans are going to stand there and tell you what they think of them. I wouldn't. I did, applaud them. I like to thank them for their lack of effort rather than their effort. Normally, I like to applaud, even in defeat. I think if you've pulled the shirt on, I'll give you backing. And so I've always preferred to stay till the end. But on a defeat like that, you want to look them in the eye and see who's there. And to be fair, the first one over was that Emerson, who actually probably had the best game out of the lot for me.
So what's your take on the game then, Nigel?
Well, my take on the game, it was. This may sound, front row. I had front row view, too close to the pitch. Oh God.
I've been at the exact seat you were in front of that little
Yeah.
pit there.
Do you know?
It was too close.
It's
too level. It's too flat, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't see the lines. You don't know really what the ball's going.
You can't see any patterns of play.
Yeah, you can't. But I'll tell you what you could see. You can't see patterns of play in West Ham's play anyway, John, can you?
No.
But what I could see was where he's playing 4, but with sort of 2 or 3 in midfield. I couldn't work my mind out what he was doing. So he definitely had a bank of 4. The way Brighton played, they pegged our fullbacks back into the 4, so they weren't getting forward. We had no width whatsoever.
No, you come to mention it, you're right.
I'm looking at it as if we played 4-3-3, and that was 3 tucked in, and then the front 3 were tucked in. No wingers, no really wide. And it never really gave, like Emerson when he got the ball, Ben Johnson hardly had the ball to give it wide, but he never had anyone out wide to get the ball and to feed it. And if I thought the first start was bad, I thought 1-0 down with the Bowen chance. I think we had another chance as well. I don't know who it was because it was too far up the other end. I think the keeper made another save. That might have been the second one on target. You always think, well, look, we've played bad. We're only 1-0 down. We can come back into it. The corner, the corner, you look at it, and it's up the other end now. See, and this is the thing I didn't understand. Is West Ham are now attacking to their fans. So we could wheel them on. We never saw them. We did not see them in front of us. I feel like 45 minutes of the second half was played up the other end of us, with them attacking and us defending. And that's all it seemed to. And Johnson gets a lot of flack for the second goal. But I don't get zonal marking. I never have. I've always preferred you pick up a man. And I don't know what zone they were in, but we had 6 defenders at the front post. And Johnson, who was stationed, and Johnson's got a cop flack because he didn't move. The bloke ran around him, chested it in, and he just stood there like passive. But he was
Paqueta at the front post. What?
Yeah. You know, look, John, look, we've all played football, and normally we had a thing. The defenders picked up a man, and the short boys were on the post.
Man on the post.
Just in case. No man on. If we had a man on the post, if Johnson had been on the post, he'd have kicked that ball as it came across. He'd have cleared it. And then we just, they got the third goal, more poor defending, and. I was going to call my article yesterday, well, if Welbeck scores, it's bad. Because when he get the 4th, you just think, well, if you can let Danny Welbeck score, he's an hard-working striker, but he's one of them strikers that don't score goals. Well, he did, that just about summed it up for me, realistically. Nothing to get excited about at all. I don't know. People always go, oh, you wish you hadn't gone. I'm always glad I've gone. And, I should be at the Fulham game, which is...
All the old good day out sport by a game of football mode, isn't it?
Yeah, basically it was. Met a good few people, which is always good. And good company with Paul and the people we met there. So it's just the funny thing is that you look back and you think, well, I've not done this my first away game this season. I've not been in a position to go to away games, but that's sort of going to change at the moment. So I'm going to do a few more away games, but didn't win that. And then you think, well, I went to 3 away games last season and we lost all 3 of them. So. When was the last time I see West Ham win away? And you're thinking, well, it's pre-pandemic. Last season was the first season back, wasn't it? Wasn't it? After the pandemic?
Yeah. I can't even remember the last away game I went to.
So,
it might have been Brighton.
Yeah. So you've got that thrown in the mix. And then, I look at Paul I went with. He only goes away games. And I went to him, well, when did you last see a win? Because I think the only one we won this season, he missed.
That was
and
Villa, wasn't it?
So you think, well, how do these people, when you see the people like the people who I met before the game, Stevie, Barry, Dodsey, with it, these there's probably about 700-800 West Ham fans every game. They'll all be out in Larnaca. Imagine thinking, let's go to Larnaca after that. It does. This club don't deserve the support, and it becomes evident more year. This club don't deserve its support base. The ones that go thick and thin. It just don't. But then the thing I would always say is, we've never been good away from home.
No.
I think I remember. I think funny enough, it started with Brighton in 1989, and it ended with a win at Sheffield United, I think, in 1991. And I did 15 away games without a win. It was just, and it was just mad. It was just mad. We just, even under Macari. We never used to get a win. Under Harry, we'd be. We'd get 3 away wins. Yeah, we'd get 3. We'd be lucky if we got 3 away wins in a season under Harry.
What's the name? Had a good run though, didn't he? Slav.
Yeah, Slav. Funny enough, when he came in, was winning away games, not winning at home. If you remember with his start.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was all done. We get these. And the one thing I've always thought, that West Ham would always challenge if they could win away from home, because we have generally always been good at home. But when we're not good at home, we're going to have a season like
then
we
struggle.
Yeah.
No, we don't have an home.
No, well, yeah.
There you go.
I mean, position-wise, realistically, funny enough though, the defeat, no damage really done, because thanks to Arsenal's last-minute winner, thankfully Everton and Forest played out an entertaining 2-2 draw. The other results, Leeds got beat. Yes, Wolves won, but they beat Spurs, so we're all happy about that. The weird thing is now is with Palace losing to Villa, Leicester getting beat, Southampton beating Leicester, that's now meant that we're 2 points off bottom, but we're 5 points off 12th. So there's 9 teams now in the relegation battle.
With a third of the season to go. Realistically speaking, John first, then Len. Relegation on the cards, or do you think, well, a third of the teams in the battle will go down, 2/3 will stay up? Will we be one of the 2/3? 6 teams.
I think if they don't change him, we're going. And I've said that for quite a while, haven't I? And I do believe that. I mean, I was talking to you earlier about that Jacob Steinberg piece in the Guardian. Just to quickly, a few headlines out of that. It starts off with David Moyes faces a battle to quell growing discontent within his squad after West Ham's relegation fears deepened with their 4-0 defeat at Brighton. The board have stood by Moyes, even though the shambolic performance on Saturday has caused alarm, and are hoping for a positive response. And it goes on to say, like, the players are basically getting weary, and it's like, however, West Ham remain determined to give Moyes time. Part of their reasoning is that they are unable to identify suitable alternatives. Now, if that's in the mainstream press, and if that's getting out there as the reason why you keep a manager whose players are saying themselves that they're getting frustrated with his negative tactics, it makes you wonder if he has lost the dressing room. That performance makes you wonder if he's lost the dressing room. And if our incompetent owner don't see and do anything about it, then I think we are going to go. Okay.
I've got a theory that I'll throw. Jay, you next.
Well, I mean, it's still my concern about how we run how we're progressing as a club is more important than the relegation and the promotion scenario. But it has an effect on whether we'll go down or not, because I still think that the players have got enough in them to keep us up. Despite Moyes' tactics, and I even think keeping it as it is could keep us up. But it's the whole holistic thing, which includes the players and the manager, that will take us down. It's what Moyes has done that's got us in a position, but it's what he's been allowed to do by the chairman that's also got in that position. And it's what the players are now doing that's also got in that position. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's a holistic thing that's taken us down and could take us down. And if we're carrying on this trend of being a football club with absolutely no direction at all, and I mean that, not just badly, there's nothing there. We're a club that turns up for the Premier League money. We've got nothing. If it keeps being like that, it will snowball and it get worse and gradually worse. I don't think we've hit the bottom yet. I don't think Brighton was the bottom.
Right.
I think
There's worse to come.
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
And it will carry on being like that until Sullivan finds his bollocks and runs the club like the football club that he doesn't want to run, which is the modern football club that's unforgiving.
Professional.
Yeah, like the Chelseas of this world, that we don't like, because unfortunately when we said we're moving to the next level, that's what it took. But I still think we'll escape it, and I'm really hoping I do, because I don't want to sort of be my last season there being a relegation, because I'd feel that I'd want to go.
You started
next
with
season.
one.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? It would be a poetic way to go out, wouldn't it?
The weird thing is he's not here to poo-poo it or whatever. Is part of me thinks the paralysis is down to there's going to be movement in ownership of football clubs. With Man United probably looking like it will be sold. Tottenham are now manoeuvring. Joe Lewis is in his 80s. He will, I think he's ready to sell. Spurs, value-wise, are probably peak because of the stadium, the income they get from the stadium. Spurs' value is actually more than Chelsea's, because value of a football club is not on its trophy cabinet, but on its ability to make money. And at the moment, Spurs make money. How they spend it is different.
Yeah.
But anyway, they make money. This club, West Ham, don't make money. But also, I do think that with the death of gold, maybe Sullivan's had enough as well. And that the fact that they won't want to bring a new manager in is somehow tied to the fact that that perhaps they know. I think come the summer, there could be a change of ownership. And it's only something I've really started to buy into recently, in that when I read the stuff coming from Sullivan and everything else.
I agree.
I think the day that I've waited for and longed for is coming soon. Sooner than I
think
thought.
it is.
Well, that's what I mentioned to you earlier, didn't I?
Yeah.
Did we really think that Kretinsky's going to buy the gold shares? Because I thought Sullivan had the first option on them. But if he doesn't take the first option, then he has second option. So that will tell you all you need to know, won't it? If he gets those shares, then they manoeuvre in to get him out.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I look at it like this now. There's two big buyers after Man United. One of them ain't going to get the club. will those people walk away from football? I actually believe that probably Ineos will get Man United because of Jim Ratcliffe's ties to Manchester. But then the people that don't buy Man United may then go and buy Spurs. Because they'll want a football club. The Qataris haven't got a Premier League football club. Whether West Ham could do a deal, or I think there is someone out there that may look as West Ham as a club that they could buy and take off Sullivan's hands. I think they'd be ready. If you look at Gold's shares, not all of his shares were transferred to. It were not transferred into a family business to protect it. Some of it was left in its old form that he just handed down. So therefore, all this, death duties due if they sell within 2 years doesn't wash all that way either. And there's a bit of me that thinks as well, Kretinsky probably, I don't think he wants to buy West Ham, but also he may look at it, there could be a quick profit to make.
Yeah, according to Sean in the past, he's always said he's not in it to own the club. He's a businessman and wants to make money. Right.
Well, the best way to make money is to invest in something for a year to 2 years. Normally, with a lot of these fun type people, they go in for a quick buck, quick spin round. They don't want to be with something for 5 to 10 years. So you think he could be buying in. We've used his money, sell the club, and give him back extra. So, people, look, this is just me thinking out loud. I've got no evidence whatsoever to back that up. There's just a few ducks that are lining up in a certain way, and this is how, like the tea leaves, this is how I'm reading them.
So if you're Sullivan, and take your theory to the end game that he's lining everything up to go, the last thing he needs is it to get relegated, because then his value.
No, and this is the funny thing is, and the weird thing in doing what he's doing is he's walked into Asper's Casino in Stratford and put his investment down on red, and he's hoping it'll come in. Instead of going out, look, I don't regret backing Moyes up to the point where I sort of stopped. I don't believe in sacking managers during the season. I don't think he'd done enough wrong, to be honest, before the World Cup to be sacked. And I maintain that I don't look back and think, oh yeah, those people were right, we should have sacked him then. I don't think the point had been reached, but actually he's treading a fine line. The only downside is I did talk to people yourselves on Carrot and Booze last night, and I pointed out, why is Moyes still here? I'll tell you why. Because every crunch game, save his job game, he's come up against, he wins or gets points. So he's got another one with Villa. So now, if he gets, I don't know, there's a bit of me thinks, as long as he don't lose against Villa, he'll keep his job. And it's not a great limbo to be in, but I just think that's the way it's going to happen. That is the way it's going to happen. That we'll get something against Villa.
But that's how you end up relegated, isn't it? That is.
Well, no, it ain't. Because if you get something against Villa, if you look at it, we've got 13 games left.
If you keep going to these must-win games, which was like, I always look back and think, it's the Everton game that's going to get us relegated. Yeah. Because if he hadn't won that, he would have gone. So then we've had whatever else has gone. No, but
the only thing I would say to that, John, is Everton are still in the bottom three and we ain't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Yeah. He picks up points for him at the right time. And if you look at it, we've lost away to Spurs recently. And if you look at it on paper, we've just lost 2 games in between Brighton and Brighton. Well, Jesus Christ, I think we've done that.
Beating Forest, yeah.
Yeah, so we've probably done that every season for the past 3 years. Lost to Brighton away, lost to Spurs away. And if we'd have had a game in between at home, we'd have beat that. So actually...
It's kind of the manner we lose, though. It's just so demoralising all round.
Exactly right. The Spurs defeat, was the most gutless Tottenham performance I'd ever seen from a West Ham shirt. We've just followed that up with the worst performance in a David Moyes West Ham team. The worst performance.
And beforehand, the away fans have kind of been with him, haven't they?
Yeah.
And but there was Moyes out, wasn't they?
Mate,
sacked in the morning and all that.
It may have been. It was around the 2-3-0 mark. So it was definitely before the fourth goal. 3/4 of half the fans had gone before the fourth goal went in.
Yeah.
It was. It was when you're at the front and you can only see the pitch, you don't realise what's going on. But when I looked round at one point, I couldn't believe the amount of people that had gone.
And again, in the past,
fans don't do that.
Sullivan only reacts when he's fearful, and I think he needs to be fearful now, doesn't he? The fans have gone. It
was a great saying I heard the other day, which from a manager, I don't know, it might have been Sean Dyche or whatever, is that when a manager gets abuse and stick from the fans, when he loses the fans, the manager ends up getting sacked. When the chairman or owners of the football club get abuse from the fans, the manager gets sacked.
Yeah.
And perhaps, I'm not encouraging it, and I don't want it. I don't want it Saturday or whatever. And I think we're pretty good now. But at the end of the game, if there's a defeat and those that believe in it want it done, then, so be it. There's a bit of me now who thinks, who am I to say after the way I behave with Allardyce? Who am I? I'm not one that can lecture people about how to behave. I chased a bloke round Aldgate with one-way system, so.
Wow.
Oh well, look, we have got football coming up. Is it a distraction or is it something that we should just welcome?
This is a good question. I did think it was a distraction for the first time, but I think a win is always welcome.
Yeah.
Do you know what? If it's not a win, it's going to start feeling bad. I think it will be a win. Do you think it's a distraction or?
No, I don't. I think I was talking to a few people before, and I maintain my stance. For me, winning a trophy is what a football fan wants to see its club win trophies.
Of course,
that is glory. That is what we're football fans for. We're not football fans to see our team finish 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th in the Premier League. We're here for glory, and a trophy and a European trophy, no matter what European trophy it is, that is glory, and that's something to stamp on your honours board, and it's something we'll look back on forever. So even if we go down and he wins a trophy, then
he's a legend.
Well, right, I'll put this to you. I did ask some people thing.
I think we had this last week, didn't we?
What happens? Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'll rephrase it. I did ask this Saturday. Has David Moyes earned the right to see West Ham through while we're still in Europe?
I don't think he's earned the right to the detriment of the league.
No,
I don't think so. I mean, if we start to climb the table and end up sort of 16th or 15th or whatever, then he does deserve it. But this precarious level that we're on, this one game away from losing your job all the time, it's not sustainable. You just can't carry on like that.
But can you see a situation where we finish 17th, but we're in the final?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am feeling it.
What do you do if that happens and he wins?
Well, I'll be over the moon. Correct me if I'm wrong. The season's over before the final, isn't it?
Well, the season don't end until, I believe, the 25th of May.
Oh, right.
Now, and this is the thing we was talking that sort of skews with the season. What people seem to forget is, as we enter the middle of March, we're normally on the home straight, in regards to season. Well, what we've done is we've just turned into the back bend. So actually, the season's running behind. But mentally, as football fans, because we're so conditioned that the season ends at the beginning of May, when we've hit the middle of March, this is the back end of the season. Now's the time to panic. Where actually, this is akin to being the middle of February. And panic stations, I think the time to really worry is with 10 to 8 games to go. That's when I think you're desperate. Well, people may not like to hear this. That's in 5 games' time. Yeah.
But we've also going to start playing 2 games a week now, which out of form is a bad thing, in form is a good thing, I always think. But it's going to proceed, I think we're going to have to just sit it out and see how it pans out.
Right. So the final of the Europa Conference League is the 7th of June.
I thought it was in June. So that's got to be what it is, isn't it?
So
everything's done and dusted by then.
Yeah. So
when's the semis?
I'll see if I can find that out for you then. I mean, the mad thing is that when you look at our running, we got a tough last few games. But I know our last game, believe it or not, is away to Leicester.
Yes.
So I'm just going to look.
I'm wondering. I'm not saying we're going to get to the semi-final.
Well,
I'm just saying that
we've got a good chance of the quarterfinals, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. We might feel a lot differently about everything by then.
So the quarterfinals is April.
And
so
the semi?
The semis are in May.
What date in May?
Unfortunately, it just says semi-finals in May and the second leg's in May. So it's not giving. Fixtures not yet available, says the UEFA website.
Right.
So the quarter final. So about this, the quarter final and semi-final draws are the 17th of March, the day after our home leg with Larnaca. Now, and I'm not. This may be disrespectful. I'll go first with what I think in Cyprus. I hope he plays quite a few of the under-23 team.
Right.
Bearing in mind when he did that already this season, they actually won away from home. I would like to see him do the same again. Play a mixture of first teamers and the under-23s. Mabama up top. Scars. Yeah. Connor Coventry and that ilk.
Bring Lanzini in.
Yeah. And see what can be done, because it's possible that they could win the game to get rid of the Villa game. What do you think? I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to Larnaca. Maybe I am, but I see them as this is like playing a League One team,
which we might struggle with at the minute.
In a cup competition. And
in a cup competition,
it's a dream, wouldn't it?
Under Pellegrini, seemed to be our nemesis, League One, the Wimbledons, the Wigans and the Oxfords. But I just don't see anything but a West Ham win Thursday night.
I don't actually know.
John?
No, I agree. I agree. But it'd be nice to get it to a level where we haven't even got to think about it at the next leg,
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we've been going this part for nearly an hour. it's been
You
quite
wouldn't think
calm.
we'd have, well, we ain't had Sean the rubber
No.
up the wrong way.
To be fair, it shows you what can happen when you haven't got someone to be so antagonistic.
That's clear.
Yeah, so we might as well go into predictions then, and before we called question time for those that want to stay. John, predictions for Larnaca away.
3-1 West Ham.
3-1 West Ham. Len,
I
Larnaca
think
away.
a 1-0 West Ham.
Right, 1-0 West Ham. And Len first then. Me, I'll go 3-0 actually away.
Right.
Villa.
2-0 loss.
2-0 loss. Right. So we'll do it this way. Predictions. 2-0 loss. What did the club do? Not what you do. What will Sullivan do? Does he push the button or not?
Not for a few days, then does it, and then does nothing.
Right. Okay.
Leaves it to Kevin Nolan.
Right. Wow. John, Aston Villa.
1-0 loss.
1-0. Oh my God. And do you think
No, they'll back him.
they'll back him? Right.
Yeah,
okay.
suddenly, after I said that, I thought to myself, who am I kidding?
Right.
They'll back him.
Yeah. I will go for. I think we'll win against Villa. 2-1. There, I've said it. I think Antonio will be back, and he'll pop up with a goal.
What was
And
wrong with
Danny Ings.
Antonio?
He took a knock. That's all we knew.
Okay.
So he should be back. I think he was 50-50 or he was probably good for Larnaca. Whether they'll risk him or not, I doubt they'll risk him now. I think they'll play. I'd like to see Scamacca Thursday night, so we'll see.
He's been linked with Milan, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he'll be. I think he'll be gone at the end of the season, Scamacca.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah, me too.
And I reckon he'll score goals wherever he goes.
One thing I didn't quickly cover, just wanted to point out, where Moyes really does lose someone like me is you can have 9 substitutes sitting on the bench. He picks 8. Despite the fact that we got a goalkeeper injured, he still finds 2 to put on the bench.
Yeah.
So when you can make 5 subs, and so there's 6 outfield players, because you know the keepers ain't coming on, and that one player, and I said before the game, I bet Scamacca's looking round at the other 5 going, well, I ain't getting a game then, am I?
Yeah.
And so it proved. But there you go, people.
Did he not bring him on?
No, didn't bring him on. I mean, this is the thing where I know we're going back over it, but we didn't cover his substitutions. When you're 3-0 down, what does it matter? I'm not being funny. What does it matter? Yeah. No disrespect to Flynn Downs. Why are you bringing him on? Why not bring another striker on?
That's terrible. We didn't bring him on.
It was almost like he was making substitutions just for the sake of making substitutions for no other reason, because it changed nothing. Substitutions are supposed to change the way you play. And if you're playing bad, it's supposed to make you better. And it didn't.
That's awful. Oh dear.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's it for this episode, people. The one without Sean. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let us know what you thought of it. And thanks to John.
Cheers.
Thanks to Len.
You're welcome.
And
Thank
most
you.
importantly, people, I want to thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And for all your support. And it's always good to meet people. And with that, I'll get myself ready, because I've lost my place. I bid you farewell. See you next time.
Bobby Moore, more than just a podcast. Bobby Moore.